Eyes down for the Morning folks, Monday, and we have a belt at the correct length fitting beautifully, but we also have other things. My sister-in-law came over at the weekend, and when she came to the door she was clutching this little wooden box, and I said, "What's in the box?" And she said, "Aha, it's a present for you." And she handed me the box. And I opened it, and look at that. Milling cutters and slot drills. Aren't they ever useful? Only one missing, and I'm sure I've got a 5mm, but never mind. Milling cutters and slot drills. Lovely. But I told her she set a precedent now, and every time she comes to see us she has to bring me an offering for the engineering gods. The second thing is, I'll get it out in a minute. It's a digital tachometer, right? It's a digital tachometer, which is what I'll need for setting the speeds on that, just to make sure I'm getting roughly the right speeds, right? And very useful thing anyway, and I haven't got one, and I bought one and it didn't bloody work, and I should have sent it back, and I didn't. That's a digital and analog one, you can put wheels on it, it just doesn't bloody work. Everything works, it comes on, it lights up, the laser pointer works, it just doesn't read the RPM, which probably means one of the chips is up the spout, but I've checked it through it as much as I can with a multimeter, and everything seems to be connected. Possibly the laser is working, but the receiver in here isn't working, so who knows. But there is a circuit through it, who can tell. It's not worth messing with. It was about 16 or 17 quid, I think, less than 20 quid. The bloody batteries for it were £4 each. There you go, but that's paying Tesco's prices. Right, I'm going to give it a try out, and then we're going to be back on this. And I'm going to get, now I've got the belt, I'm going to get rigged up the spring, and that spring looks like it's going to be about right to me. But also we've got to allow for the fact that there will be a motor on the back, and that will probably be pulling that way as well, or will it? Yes, it probably will be pulling that way. I can make it pull that way, can't I? Right. Interesting. Shades of early physics and pulleys and directions and stuff. My head is spinning. I had to walk around York for God knows how many hours yesterday. 5.5 miles we walked. God, I was knackered when I got home. I slept well though. See you in a bit. Right folks, there we go. An adjustable pivot point, spring hooking point. Let's get it put back on and see if it works. Well, it'll work, but it may need adjustment. There you go. There we go folks. A compound spring, which leaves us lots of adjustment. So I think that'll do for now until I get the rest rigged up, and we'll see if the belt slips or not. So the next move is to get the hydraulic platform around the back here, get the motor lifted up into a reasonable drive position. But first it's time for a cup of tea. So we have a very approximate positioning there, and I'm beginning to wonder about a strap down this side and a strap down the other side there that pivots onto this, onto the same pivot, because if we do that we will be loading this in the opposite way very slightly, it will tend to bias it, and it will also give us the opportunity to lift the motor slightly like that to have a clutch effect, and it might even give us a position for a brake as well. I've got this is good now. This that compound spring works really well. This is tight, and in the other position it's loose, so that's good. Happy with that. So what we've got to do now is try to position the motor in such a way as it does not put any more load on the shaft in that direction away from the spring, so that we can, so it's virtually, it wants to be virtually neutral, which I suppose means, he said yawning, it wants to be virtually in line with it that way, or slightly up. I don't know. Anyway, the witching hour has arrived for today, and it's time to go home. But I had a late start because we went shopping this morning. I didn't get here till 12, so I haven't got much done, but what I have got done I like. So we have adjustment, we have tension that we can put on in case the belt slips, but to be honest, with the wrap it's got, I don't think it's going to. I think that belt's good at that. Right folks, see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Good afternoon folks. Tuesday, 3 o'clock, and I've done nought. Well, at least I've done nought on the Holbrook, but out here the big pile of rubbish has gone. The big pile of rubbish has gone, and it went in that trailer because last week Keith's trailer was stolen from where my car is right now by two tow rags who smashed the lock off it and took it, and it disappeared, never to be seen again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the, what I should have done before, put the recording cards in the cameras so that the cameras record. And then I'm going to tidy the whole place up and make it look decent, so that it doesn't look so scruffy, so that it doesn't get picked on. Right, onward. And another disaster. I was just getting the ladder out, caught the end of the fluorescent light, and it came crashing down. But it's all back together now, and it might still work. Bye now. Morning folks, lathe cam. I'm just reducing the middle boss on this pulley a bit. I'm going to reduce the back boss as well, just so that we can fit two pulleys on the shafts. I've found another pulley with a 3/4 bore, which means I don't need to bore one out. And if I have a 1.5 inch and a 4 inch on the motor, then I'll get virtually all the speeds at about the correct speeds that the Holbrook's supposed to have. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take another cut off this and swap it round. That's it. That's it. I've had to swap over onto the external jaws. I don't think I'll take much off there. I think I'll just square that end up because it's quite close anyway. was a good one. Right folks, there we go. 4-inch. Here's a question about pulleys. Do you measure the inner diameter that the belt is actually wrapping round, or do you measure the outer diameter? I've measured the inner diameter, right, and that's about, the inner diameter is about 1.25 inches, but the outer diameter is 2 inches. But anyway, that gives me about, those two give me about the right speeds. So there we are, motor sorted. There's a bolt missing there. Oh, the others are in. Yeah, all the others are in, just that one missing. Right, onward. I am thinking along the lines of 2 straps down the side to a pivot below this pivot, rather than using the outside of that pivot, so that it pivots from the bottom, right, and it drops that way, so that in order to knock the drive off, I can pull the motor back to that position, because if we don't have a swinging motor, when I change from the higher speed to the lower speed, I've got to think of some way of tensioning the belt, which means a long travel jockey pulley. But I still haven't put the jockey pulley idea out completely, because if we had a jockey pulley we could bolt the motor to here, but we'd still need to slide the motor that distance from there to there, which is not going to be much, probably 1 inch would do it. But we need to slide the motor to make the pulleys line up, so that's got to be considered as well. So it's time for a bit of head scratching and probably a cup of tea. That's a very suspicious looking empty hole, folks. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. Luckily I've got some long threaded rod of the right size, and I've just made another one. That's missing. What can happen when there's one missing like that is that they don't pull square onto the stator, and they can bind up. But I mean, this is turning fairly free, but certainly it needs one in, so I'll put it in. Right folks, I've replaced that bolt, the missing one, and I've taken the plate off because it's going to be easier to mount the plate and then put the motor on. And something's beginning to gel inside my grey matter. I think I'd like to put it right up there, but we can't, because it'll be, will it be in the way of that lever? No, it might not. Anyway, I think the thing to do, what I've decided to do, is I'm going to bolt 2 pieces of steel about that width, coming down to about here on either side, right? One on there, with a pivot hole through, and then I shall set a pivot up on here, clamp it in position, right, and just offer it up and see how it goes, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to pivot it at the top or the bottom or whatever. But I think that's the way forward. I'm not doing anything else, I may as well just get on with it. First time I've used it in anger, folks. I should be nearly through there, I hope. Yeah, it's going. This could go on for a long time. I've not phrased that out correctly. That's now going the opposite way to what it used to go. I tested that as well. Never mind. There she goes. Cut off. Wonderful. I wish somebody could tell me which way a rapido is supposed to rotate, because I've asked all sorts of people, I've looked at all sorts of saws, and some go one way and some go the other, which is a pain. Right, onward. There folks, some furious drilling, sawing and cutting later, and we've got our two side pieces. Now I'm hoping to be able to fit them to there so that I can reverse them, but it doesn't really matter thinking about it, because all I do is turn the plate over because the motor holes are the same anyway. So let's get it marked up and drilled. That's the sort of thing I'm thinking about. That way I can pivot it from either the top or the bottom depending on where I put the bracket on. I'm going to have to put a tube in between with some pieces to bolt to the box section, and I'm probably going to have to put some spacers in between here just to clear the edge of the box. Will I? No, I probably won't. It'll probably bolt up to there just like that. Just like that. Right, let's get some marks on it. There we go folks. Together. Not drilled, but together. But time has beaten me. So I'm going to leave that in there. That's a fault in the casting, but it's alright. Leave that in there, and all that's spinning very nicely, so we know we've got it square. And I shall drill it. I shall set up and drill it tomorrow. Probably use the big drill, because then I can drop the table down and drill it with the table low, because it's easier to drop the table on that one than it is on the small one. Right. Pleased with that. It's beginning to take shape in my head how I'm going to do it. Right, one bit at a time and onward. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Morning folks, Thursday 11:52, because I've been on the computer doing a remote session with Martin, getting my camera set up, and that's all done now, so everything's on and everything's recording. And talk about stable doors and horses bolted, etc, etc, but never mind, it's all sorted now. So onward. I'll get these holes drilled in the side of here, and then we'll have a offer up and we'll have a mounting made. It'll have to be a mounting that allows about an inch of side movement so that I can slide the plate over to move the pulleys on the motor into line with the drive pulley on the counter shaft. Off we go. Here we go folks, all bolted up. I actually drilled it with the battery drill, because it was awkward to get under with the mould grips on, but what a result, eh, and what a horrible noise. There we are. Onward. Right folks, a bit of Colchester cam. I've drilled the holes with the dreaded blacksmith's drills. This is the holes for the brackets, with the 21mm, and I'm just taking a skim off the outside of this tube to make it fit, and it literally is a skim as well. Only a very small amount. Again, 5 thou, 10 thou off the diameter. And I know it's screaming, I know it's in agony. What we've got here is the outside chuck jaws in. Right, let's see if that'll do it. Ooh, it's just starting to go. Take another 10 thou off. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Yes, beautiful, beautiful fit. Right, just remove the right, that should do that. Cloth, cloth, cloth. Beautiful, so it wants about 4 cuts taken off at 10 thou. Oh yes, lovely. I'll do the other end. So there we go, folks. That isn't accurately set up yet. Having said that, if I just squeeze through here with you, it actually does line up down there very well. But I need to put some lines on and put the brackets on. But that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing I was thinking of. Of course, there'll be plenty of room there because the motor will be a little bit away from there. So there's plenty of room to operate that. But that looks to me like a pretty good go. So the next thing to do, I suppose, is to get those brackets tack welded on. But first, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Because it's my workshop and I can. There you go, I think that's going to work, isn't it? We've got the... that's the slide to set the belts. And when you think about it, we've got the ideal place there to put a lever in, to push it one way or another. Ooh, that could be good. But that, I'm very pleased with the way it moves. It slides very easily. A little bit of oil or grease on there and it'll be no problem at all. So, we're heading towards a motor plate. Now this is my last day today because tomorrow I'll be at Haxby, at Haxby Shed to see Paul, and then I may be going on to see my daughter and see if I can sort out her blooming broadband, etc, etc. Right, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Right folks, I've reset it all again. I've checked the sliding mechanism. So what we can do with the sliding mechanism is, after I've welded the brackets on, we can mock it all up, put the motor on, and then we can set the tube so that we've got the correct amount of side slide to line the pulleys up. This pulley of course can go anywhere on that shaft, so that can be moved, and then we can just tack the tube in place, and that's it. So after a lot of heart searching and head scratching and etc, etc, I think it's come together quite well. I think that gap there might be useful, it being in the middle, might be useful to slide it either way. So if I can put a lever in there with a pivot on here, maybe pivot on the tube there, that might slide it either way, right? And that sets that. So then all we have to do is then think about a mechanism with a lever somewhere here, somewhere down here, to pull that forwards, to take the tension off the belt, to stop the lathe, to let it fall back, to put the tension back on the belt to start the lathe, and possibly a block to go in there to break the counter shaft, or something on there to break the counter shaft. I was thinking of a pulley with a belt wrap around it, but of course that's a bit wrong way, so I'd have to reverse the action, because it would slacken, as I pulled it in, it would slacken the belt off. But it's not beyond me, it's not beyond me, it's going rather well. I'm pleased, but unfortunately run out of time for today. So that's it folks, tomorrow it's Haxby Shed. See you all then, bye now. Morning folks, Friday, and we're here at a secret location. The steps might be familiar. It's Haxby Shed. Good grief. Let's step inside.
Hello.
Here's Paul.
Glad you could make it.
It was fraught, but I made it. The workshop is immaculate, tidy, the machines are gleaming. It couldn't be anywhere else really, could it?
This is not true, folks.
Really nice to be here though, and see such well looked after machines, and a little evidence of swarf, but not much. We've been wandering around and we've been discussing the merits of the various different machines and the different fittings, and Paul of course has the Harrison mill, which is similar to mine, but Paul's is the true universal. Most milling machines, when you call them a universal, it means they're horizontal and vertical. With this Harrison, this is a true universal because it's got the swivelling table as well. The table moves like that, and I missed one. I never got one. I'm going to rob that idea and make one of those for the wooden block for the vertical head.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna make one of those.
Yeah.
Great. So, Paul, would you like to just give us a little brief biography?
All right. Can I ask you to step forward because you're right in front of my camera?
Sorry.
So we don't know what as I said in the beginning, I don't know what we're going to do with my video. Phil's going to put it on his channel.
Yeah.
But okay, well I'm going to miss out most of the middle bit.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's kind of private. I only share what I want to share.
That's fine.
But I mean, I must admit, I'm a little bit of a fake when it comes to machining and so on, because at 16 I started an apprenticeship, and I was lucky enough to be with a company which would send you to college if you were able to do it. So the first year of our apprenticeship course was general machining, general fitting, turning and so on. And then after the first year you could choose a trade. So I went more into the kind of electronics side of things. But then I managed to go day release to college, and then later I managed to go to university. And then I got onto a management trainee scheme. So most of my career was at a desk. I don't have a career now, of course, but most of my career was at a desk, right? So I was connected with engineering sort of up until about 25, at least technical specifications and things like that. But then I kind of moved into project management because I figured out, you know, I'd got a family to feed like a lot of us, and I figured out that I could probably make more money if
That's what it's all about.
I moved into these other fields, you see. So, so I moved into project management and then eventually into contract management. So that, and I worked for telecoms companies and like IT consulting. So in the 2000s, when we had the dot-com boom, I worked out that if I could get myself into some kind of consulting, I would make more money, and which is actually what happened. Anyway, so that's the essence of it. Now, just this morning I put out a video where my granddaughter's interviewing me, and I explain on that actually that it wasn't until COVID came along that I started I thought, I've always loved practical engineering work, and I thought, well, I'll get some machines and we'll see how it develops. And then COVID came, and then I started the channel, and you know, the rest is history. So I'm a bit fake really, because
you've got a new career.
It's my new career.
It's your new career.
The thing is, when you retire, so I'm ad-libbing now for sure, but when you retire, you lose your identity, because if you're one of those people who live to work, which I do, which I always
agree.
I'm motivated by working and achieving things, and then people will say to you, they might not say to me now because I'm a bit older, but when I first finished work, they'd say, "Oh, hi Paul, what do you do?" What do you say? Right? You've lost your identity. Yes. But now, if they said to me, particularly if younger people say to me, "What do you do?" I'd say, "Oh, I'm a YouTuber." "No, I'm a YouTuber." And they go, "What? Really?" So it actually gives you an identity. Yeah. Anyway,
these young people today,
I better leave it there because I could talk forever, obviously. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay,
so
thanks very much.
What can I show you? What can I show you?
Well, let's start at this side. Let's start with the Harrison lathe.
Yes.
Which is gleaming.
It was frog green when I got it. Some evidence. At the back. I'll tell you the story. If you like, I'll tell you the story behind the machines as I got them, if you want to know. So I looked at Colchester Bantam, I looked at various others, and in my mind I got various requirements I wanted. I wanted a gap bed, and the idea was, I talked to my son, what might we want to work on, because we didn't even know what we'd want to work on then. Yeah. And we decided the biggest thing we might want to do was to skim discs, car discs. Yes. So with a gap, we could do it. So that was on the list. Yeah. And then I wanted a clutch. And so you add those two things together. Yeah. And I may be mistaken, but I didn't notice a clutch on the Bantams. They were also quite expensive. Yeah, some have, and Bantams do hold the prices very well. Yes, yes. And of course they've got, you know, a screw cutting gearbox with oil in it, and this doesn't have oil in it, which hasn't. Yeah, I didn't realise that. But it doesn't. I didn't realise that. So anyway, I looked on eBay and I saw one up for sale, and it looked this one, and it looked a total mess. And it was in Leeds. A fabricator had bought it as part of a job lot, and he bought it for the fabrication equipment, but he got within that job lot some woodworking lathes. And this, so he put it up for sale, and it looked terrible, and I went to see it. So nobody else that was bidding on it went to see it. I was the only one. So I knew, because I'd been looked under the covers, I knew it was in good condition if I was prepared to put the work in. Yep. And I just decided, within sensible limits, I was just going to bid whatever it took, and I got it for £1,050. Yeah. But it came with all the gears, a faceplate, the four-jaw chuck and everything all in, and the gears had never been used. So this is about a 1970, Yep. And the gears were still in the grease-proof paper. Excellent. In the bottom. Excellent, yeah. So there's a videos on it. I cleaned it all up and painted it, and that's where that came from. Right. Oh, and I had to move it. And
always fun with machine tools.
Quid to move it. It's about 500 kilos, half a ton.
Yeah.
And in the end, I rang up a local, like a removals company, not a machine mover.
Yeah.
And they had a Luton, and this guy who owns this local company said, yeah, we're clearing out houses all the time. We'll do it anyway. It was about a bit too much for the Luton tailgate.
Yeah.
I think I moved it for 160, including the VAT, something like that. So it wasn't.
That's not
too
bad. That's not bad.
So yeah.
So a little surface grinder.
Yes.
This is is it a Herbert?
Yes. So
Alfred Herbert.
Junior's surface grinder Mark II.
Yeah.
So the Mark II, I think has a. God, I can't remember the detail now. I think it has an oiler on it, and the knee is strong.
Oh, yes, it has.
Basically,
Yeah.
those are the two. I think those are the two major differences.
And
it's Imperial, that one. The Harrison is metric, by the way. This is Imperial.
Yeah, and you've recently rebuilt this and put a new table nut and screw on it.
Yeah.
And it's now fully functional.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is now.
Excellent.
I need to just do a little bit more tuning on it, but
Machine tools always need a bit more tuning.
I ground a chisel on it. That's the first thing I've done.
Right.
I got it from Eddie, who messaged me saying, was I interested? He's up near Richmond in Yorkshire. He said, I can offer it to you cheap. Are you interested? Well, you know we're Yorkshire,
absolutely.
aren't we? So because he said cheap, I was. And I got it for a very good price. So I love it. It just looks a lovely little machine.
Yeah, I agree. Now a very interesting welding bench.
I got that from Rotherham. Again, this is all kind of Yorkshire local. I got it from Rotherham. I paid £100. I think somebody's dad had passed away. I don't know the full story. It was in a garage, in like a private house garage.
Yeah.
It had a big vice on it. The vice was too big. It's made in a welding workshop. It had 3-phase fittings on the back. The wheels were a little bit weak for it, so I strengthened up the roller wheels, and that's the rest. But this is my surface plate, which I don't use or show very often. But during COVID, I got that on eBay for 50 quid.
Nice.
It's got one dink in it, which is fine. This I got from Castleford.
Yeah.
I was in the pub one night with friends, and I just looked on eBay, and I was looking for a shaper. This was early on, really, and it was on. There was a backstreet garage in Castleford, and it was on at $4.50. Buy it now, and I just pressed the button there, and then I probably had too much to drink.
It's a really bad place to look at eBay as the pub.
And the guy who sold it to me, a lovely bloke, he'd got a specialist renovating cars workshop and a few other things, and he was retiring, I think.
Yeah.
Tried to send me a mill that I didn't want, but I took this, and he said, I can't move it for you. Well, you know what it's like. I can't move it for you. I might be able to move it for you. I'll move it for you. So it's 50 quid, him and a mate. He borrowed somebody's van, a flatbed, and brought it in through that other door.
This is an Elliott.
And it's an Elliott 10M.
It's a 10M, yeah.
It's a 10M. Now, when I got it, I didn't realise that there was a broken part on the bull wheel, and the stroke adjustment wouldn't go the full extent. So I could only get 9 inches.
9 inches, yeah, and it's a 10
Not
inch.
10.
Supposed to be a 10 inch.
So I did some videos on that where I repaired that bull wheel, and I also made an oiler system for it as well.
Right.
So yeah, it's great. And I made this. You won't see it on my video, but it's over here.
The vertical head for it. The milling vertical head, yeah.
Yeah, put the milling vertical.
I've got the.
I got the Harrison. You see.
Mine's an Alba.
Oh yeah, an Alba. Is it or something?
And they're very similar. They're very similar, and
yes.
I believe they were a same manufacturer. One took over the other or something. But mine goes to 11.
You're really tempting me to make some schoolboy jokes, but I'm not going to do it.
Right, so now we have the Manchester Rapidor.
Yeah, Rapidor Manchester. I'm going to.
Rapidor Manchester, yes.
Yeah, Rapido Manchester. It could be clues.
Well, I think the company's Rapido, and it was in Manchester, wasn't it?
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was.
Right.
It was Rapido.
Well, that's an early one.
Yeah.
I got that off eBay near Retford,
Mm.
and it was 200 and something. Did I pay 200 and something or 100 and something? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was 125. I think.
Yeah.
It needed a new bush. But basically it was just absolutely blathered black. It's non-standard because it's got a half horsepower motor with, they put a cross shaft on it.
Yeah.
And they've got 2 sets of belts.
Yeah.
Somebody actually just recently messaged me and said he was doing a conversion and wanted to know what the pulley sizes were, and I just measured those and put them back in the comments. It's as rough as a bear's arse. You know, they're not a very refined machine, but it'll sit there chewing all day. You can put 6-inch round in it.
Yeah.
It maybe won't be square. It'll probably be something like this.
Yeah.
You can put 6-inch round in it, and it'll just chew away all day on that. And you know, looks after itself, and it cuts itself off automatically and mechanically, because it's got 38 on the bed. So I wonder if that's 1938.
I think it well could be.
Yeah.
I think it well could be 1938. It could even have originally been on power shafting, running on overhead shafting,
I think so, on a line
and
shaft,
has been on line shafting,
Maybe,
and
yeah.
has been converted
Could have been.
to a motor.
Could have been.
But
yeah.
it's certainly a very clean machine.
It is now. It wasn't when I bought it.
Well, they're always best to buy them when they're dirty.
So we got this lovely machine. This is one of my. They're all my favourites, right? I just don't want them to be.
Is this an Alpine?
No, it's a what the heck is it? It's a. I think
It's got the emergency stop button over the name.
It has got the.
It's
a new tool. It's
a new tool, so it's probably made in Korea.
Yeah, or Taiwan.
Or Taiwan, yeah. But it's certainly a piece of work, isn't it? It's big and heavy.
They did 3 sizes, I think.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest size. It takes up to an inch. It's a MT4. Takes up to 1.25 inch drill.
Right.
But it's really this table, because I can put all sorts of stuff on here.
Yeah.
And it's such a big table.
Yeah.
And then I put these copper pipes either side, which I did a video on that.
Yes.
But it steadies the head.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's far
Yes,
more
I hadn't
robust
noticed
because
those.
of those copper pipes. You know,
noticed
because I made the
those.
struts either side of the head.
Yeah. I have a similar one, but it's smaller. Right? It's only MT3. It's a Korean one, I think. It's only MT3. I've got some MT4 drills, so you can have if you want.
Oh. Oh, right.
I've got at least one, I think.
I'll go for that.
Have you got an MT4 to MT3 adapter?
I've got loads of adapters.
Yeah,
Yes,
you've got plenty of adapters,
yeah.
right? I'll have a break through my drills because.
Oh, right, yeah.
But mine is very similar. It's got this wind-up mechanism, but it's a smaller drilling machine altogether. I can wobble it round the workshop.
Ah, okay.
Right, I can actually wobble mine. Well, you wouldn't want to wobble that because it's very heavy.
It's a big chunk.
Yeah,
it's a big chunk.
chunk.
I mean, it's got T-slots on the base as well.
Oh yeah, I have actually used mine drilling on the base. Put the table around and drilled on the base. Yeah.
The table swivels as well.
Yeah.
So it probably only swivels 45 degrees in
Yeah,
total.
but even so, that's a useful thing to have.
Yeah, it's
Useful thing to have.
It's a great machine.
Mine has these tied on with string because I haven't got around to rebuilding it yet. It was father-in-law's.
Oh, okay.
Right, so there you go.
And then we come round to the Harrison.
And we come round to the other Harrison,
Oh, of course, yeah, the new.
which is the.
I'm going to swing my camera around a bit.
Go on then.
This isn't going to be too easy to watch, is it? But
No, but
hang on a minute. Let's see.
it's me watching you, watching me.
That one, I'll put it on my.
We're rank amateurs, folks.
Right. Well, I'm videoing this just in case any of this comes out. I might be able to use a bit.
You can edit it, can't you?
Yeah.
Edit me out of it.
You get the best video, Phil.
So.
So this, what I'm doing here with this vise, this is one of the Vivo vise that I reviewed. Somebody sent me a message saying, when you clamp it, does the jaw lift? And I've hardly used this vice, to be honest, because I haven't done that much milling.
Right.
So I put a clock on it. You won't be able to see, but the clock's here.
Yeah, I can see.
And I just put a known block in, a ground block,
Yeah.
and just clamped it. And the answer is, when I clamp it, this jaw lifts by about 1/100 of a millimetre, so about half a thou. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Because like you get follow-up questions.
To be honest, I have all, thanks to my friend Richard, who said, take all those vices away, I'm sick of the sight of them. I have a great selection of machine vices, and they all lift to a certain extent, because in order to stop them lifting, you have to set them almost too tight to use.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And what you have to do is you have to use a couple of pieces of copper wire. Right?
Yeah.
Which means that the lift actually makes very little to no difference.
Right, okay.
Right? But they all do that. You know, you can tweak them, but it's hard.
Turn that around so I can see it.
Okay. And this is, of course, this is not only a vertical mill, it's also a full horizontal mill. It's got the vertical head there on the very cleverly made stand. And it's the full horizontal as well. And see, you've got the arbors.
Can you see the stand? Yes.
For it.
It's there. Yeah. Yes. Now what happened there was I got the 27mm, that one on the right is a 27mm arbor. And that came with it, that's the original arbor.
Right.
But my friend Tony, have I got that right way around? No, that's the 27.
Yeah.
And this was bigger, it might have been 1.25 inches.
Right.
And I machined it down. What did I do? I'm losing the plot here, I can't remember what I did. Oh, I know. No, it's a 1-inch arbor, but it had an ISO 40 on the end. That's right.
Right.
So
you turn the 40 down to 30.
I had to turn the 40 down to 30.
Right.
And I had to weld on a new bush at the end that was going to be threaded.
For the
because it was a 40, it was a 5/8 thread.
Too big.
And then once I'd reduced that, it would just be it would be almost like a helicoil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I welded a new end on, and that's what I did. I remember.
Brave engineering there.
I remember what I did, and I used my welding rotator to do that.
Excellent.
Which
you've got another arbor down there as well.
Now that one was given to me by Jason. I hadn't heard from Jason for a little bit, but I'm sure he's still around. So this, I think, let's see if it's on yet. I think this is a line boring arbor.
Oh, right.
Because the cutter's here.
I see, yes.
And it's
very interesting.
Almost needs a new end on it. I might just do that.
Yeah.
Weld a new end
very
on
interesting.
And it was all quite rusty when he sent it, but I got it. He kindly sent it to me for free, and loads of spacer bushes.
Always useful.
And loads of
always useful.
other stuff, and I've got a box down there.
Excellent.
So people are very generous. I
get.
I have quite a few benefactors who help.
No.
And I'd have to make a bush for the end, but I think that's for line boring. I think. Probably, yeah. Well, anyway.
It's a nice. It's a nice machine. This is a. This is the machine that I thought I'd bought.
Oh, really?
But I'd looked at it on eBay, and I'd convinced myself it was one, then I'd convinced myself it was the other, and then I realised after I'd bought it that I didn't have the motor there. I had the motor at the back here. And mine was not the swivel table.
I'm not sure I knew what I bought at the time, because my friend Tony might watch this. My friend Tony, I'd said I don't want a mill, I don't need a mill, I don't want a mill. And my friend Tony messaged me and said, how about this? And I said, is it good value? He said, yes. I said, right. And so I just bought it there and then. And it was on a farm, but the guy, he had a sideline in repairing mowers.
Oh,
that
right.
was his business, I think, essentially.
Right.
And so I bought it, pretty much as you see it, but it needed some love. Quite a bit, really. So I changed oil seals. I didn't do any bearings in here or in the gearbox. That was more than I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it took a fair bit of work. I had to make a new table nut for it. This one in this direction. for various reasons that are all in videos and things. And also it had an inverter fitted, but the inverter, they put it on the wrong side essentially. The control, they put the in, what did they do? I can't remember. They were not controlling the inverter with the control lines. That was the point.
Right,
they were switching between. That's right. They were switching between the inverter and the motor, which you're not supposed to.
No,
do.
you're not supposed to do. No.
So
No, the inverter's supposed to feed straight to the motor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had to completely. It's a long story. I had to completely rewire it,
Yeah.
which took wiring always takes a lot longer than it should.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But at least you knew how to do it.
I figured it out in time to get all the interlocks working.
Oh, yeah.
That was difficult.
Yeah.
To get all the and then relays and things on the
Yeah,
interlocks and all
absolutely.
that stuff.
But you did it.
But I managed to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent work.
So that was it in the end with that. Yeah. So I'm not using it as I need to use it more. I mean, you've seen if people know the channel, they know what I do. It's I need to get back onto some projects.
When
Use it more.
I find that I look at a job and I think, oh, I can just file that, and then I think, no, I can't. I can mill it.
Yes. Yeah.
And you go to the machine and you
Yeah.
use it. You use the machine. It probably takes you 10 minutes to set it up,
Yes.
2 minutes to do the job,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you're on and you're off on the bench again. And the
Yes.
machine sits in the corner.
Yes.
The thing is with all these machine tools,
Yes.
it's what they can do when you need them.
Yes.
Right? We're not working on piecework or doing factory production anymore, so we don't need to use the machines all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
But when they are there, they're so useful.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's about it, folks. We've covered everything.
If you're
It's a-
watching my channel, hang on. I'll just put Phil on.
Looking extremely scruffy as usual. It's a beautiful day outside, which is not like yesterday when it's thick fog in Langtoft and quite miserable.
Yeah.
But I got a decent day in yesterday.
Yeah.
I've almost,
I'm going to walk in front of your camera now.
no, it's all right. I've almost completely sorted out my motor table for the Holbrook.
Get the window out of the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been watching
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's going well. It's been trying my patience and trying my grey matter, but I've finally sussed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll call
Alright.
call that
Yes.
Haxby Shed the shoot.